Hello there and welcome to my 2023 WWE Draft Predictions. Whoa, Friday Night Smackdown, they're kicking off with night one, then on Raw it will continue. And just about like 30 minutes ago, before clicking record, they sent out a tweet where the rules are, now it's only like a select group per night. So like on Smackdown tonight, there will be like, a handful of people they can pick from the draft, the Raw and Smackdown. And then Monday on Raw, they'll do the second group of people they have. And it's kind of a big mess. I didn't want to redo all my predictions. I had this idea earlier in the week, so I already have down my list. There are some that come in pairs, like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, for example. They come as a pair. Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, the Bloodline, are split up into two groups. You got Roman and Sikoa, and then you have the Usos. So maybe they'll go on separate brands, but I doubt it, but we'll get into that later. These are just some predictions, and after the draft is fully finished, I'll upload another video, maybe like fantasy booking or predicting where each superstar goes on their new respective brand. But let's kick it off with SmackDown. I do believe SmackDown will probably get the first pick, so I'm going to go with Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa going to SmackDown. The Fox execs are going to want Roman Reigns, their big Universal WWE Champion. Over 900 days he's held that title. And now that they've introduced a new World Championship that'll go on whatever brand he's not on, he's probably going to hold it for 1,000 days. Probably more than 1,000 days. They'll have him hold on to it forever. He'll die with that belt, unless Cody can finish the story. But, I don't want to wait a year for him to finish the story, but whatever. So going over to Raw now, their first pick will probably be Cody. I feel like the two biggest names in the company right now are Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. You can have Cody stay on Raw. I mean, surely everybody's thinking, oh yeah, Cody should, finish the story and go after Roman. But honestly, it would make sense to draft Cody or maybe like Rollins to Raw. But I would assume Cody would be their first pick. So Cody Rhodes is going to Raw. He can finish his story later, I guess. Second pick for SmackDown is probably going to be Rollins. If not Cody, then probably Rollins. I think he's like one of the top 5 guys in the company right now. Probably even top 3. And, he could do good things over on SmackDown. Technically, he beat Roman by DQ at Royal Rumble in 2022. So that's something they can do if they want to have Rollins challenge for the title again. Back to Raw, we're going to go with the Raw Women's Champion, Bianca Belair. I don't want them to do any title swaps, any of that bullshit. So I want the Raw Women's Champion to stay on Raw and the SmackDown Women's Champion to just stay on SmackDown so they don't do any dumb title swap. So that leads me to my next pick for SmackDown. I think Rhea Ripley, she's going to be staying over at SmackDown. She's not included with the Judgment Day faction on the list. So, Rhea Ripley on her own is going to SmackDown. I hope that's what happens. I don't want to see any dumb title swap like they did with the Street Profits and New Day and then Becky and Charlotte a couple years ago or whatever it was. It's dumb. It makes no sense. Now for Raw's third pick, we're going to go Brock Lesnar. I wasn't going to have Brock Lesnar on this list, but when I checked the list that WWE put out, Lesnar was listed. So if they're going to continue Cody and Brock, I think it's just easier to keep. I don't know when like the brand split comes into play, like officially or whatever, but I'm assuming they'll keep Brock on Raw since they got a big star like Roman on SmackDown. They don't need everybody over there. So Brock Lesnar is going to be on Monday Night Raw. Back to SmackDown, more Judgment Day talk. If Rhea Ripley's going to SmackDown, it only makes sense for the rest of Judgment Day to be there with her. So Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio, and Damian Priest are going to chill over there with Rhea on SmackDown. Now over to Raw, we are going to go with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They are the undisputed tag team champions. They have the Raw belts and the SmackDown belts. I don't know if they're going to separate them or they're going to defend them on both brands. I'm not sure how they're going to do all that. That's WWE's problem. I just think Kevin and Sami are going to go to Raw. Maybe they can hang out with Cody some more. And next for SmackDown, I'm going to put Austin Theory, the current United States champion. I'm going to put him over on SmackDown. I just feel like on Raw, he kind of just gets lost in the shuffle. Maybe this could be like a fresh restart for him. He might lose the US title to Lashley or Bronson Reed at Backlash. That might help him more than hurt him, honestly. But if they're going to keep the title on him, either way, SmackDown, it just feels like it could be a fresh start for him. So I hope he changes it up because Austin Theory has a lot of potential, but he's just not really doing much for himself. Going to Raw, we are going to go Imperium. They're all grouped as one. So Giovanni Vinci, Ludwig Kaiser, and Gunther, Intercontinental Champion Gunther, having a hella amazing reign. putting on amazing matches. You know, if you got Theory over on SmackDown, it only makes sense to give the Intercontinental title to Raw. Honestly, I could see them, realistically, I think they'd stay on their brands. Like, I think Theory's probably going to stay on Raw. Gunter's going to stay on SmackDown with the rest of Imperium. But just for a little bit of a shakeup, I just decided to swap them for my predictions just because, you know, why not? SmackDown, we're going to have a new face that's been on Raw for the past little while. We're going to have Becky Lynch on SmackDown. She's kind of injured right now or whatever. I don't know about injured, but just, you know, Trish Stratus turned on her. And then they're going to do a whole little feud, maybe going into SummerSlam. Who knows what or when. It feels like that'd be too long. Maybe they could do it at Money in the Bank. That'd be cool. But Becky Lynch has been on Raw for a while. She's the longest reigning Raw Women's Champion before Bianca Belair. So, you know, throw her on SmackDown. See what she does there. Carry on the Trish Stratus feud. Yeah. Now we have another tag team going to Raw. We have The New Day. I do believe Kofi Kingston is injured and he's like recovering from his injury. I'm not entirely sure, but Xavier Woods is still cool. You know what? Xavier Woods can do great things. Maybe he can be in a tournament or whatever and go fairly far for that new World Heavyweight Championship. It'd be a nice breakout performance for him. He's already been King of the Ring. Not much happened there. I think Roman stepped on his crown, and then after that, he's just, all right, no more King Woods, bye. So hopefully Xavier Woods, until Kofi gets back, can do some good single stuff on Monday Night Raw. And now we have the Usos going to SmackDown. We are not splitting up the bloodline. It makes no sense. I mean, I'm kind of tired of it. I've been tired of it. Cody should have won at Mania. Honestly, I would have been fine with Sami winning at Elimination Chamber. Roman's cool, but you just got to keep it interesting. And Sami was what was keeping the bloodline interesting, and he got kicked out. And the more that carries on, the more that's going to get stale. So you just gotta you know, end the bloodline not too soon because they are a powerhouse, but you gotta just make it make sense and don't let it like go stale. Just, I don't know. I really don't know. It's gone on for so long. What the hell could they do at this point? They can beat every odd. I don't want Jey Uso as much as I think he's done a great job as main event Jey Uso. I like the Usos, but Jey Uso is not dethroning Roman. I don't care what you say. It would be cool, but would they do it? I really doubt it. If they weren't going to give it to Sami, I doubt they'll give it to Jey. But the Usos are going to stay with Roman and Sikoa over on SmackDown. And now another tag team. I just realized like Raw has a lot of tag teams on my predictions. And, you know, whatever. We have the Brawling Brutes. We got Butch, Ridge Holland, and Sheamus. Yeah, I'm gonna be real, kind of selfish motives. I want Sheamus to either win that new World Heavyweight Championship, or I want him to be the one to dethrone Gunter. He doesn't have to do it soon, because they just did that amazing WrestleMania triple threat with Drew, Sheamus, and Gunter. So I don't see why it makes sense for Sheamus to challenge for the title again, whether it's this year or next, because I can see him holding on to it for like until 2024, honestly. But I hope Sheamus is the one to do it. He deserves it. He's had a big career resurgence, banger after banger after banger, and it's true. He's put on nothing but great matches, him and the Brawling Brutes. The Brawling Brutes kind of feel like they're in the background as Sheamus is going for that, like, that gold. Become a Grand Slam champion, get that final title for your career. But if he doesn't beat Gunter, hell, another way to reward his great freaking performances recently, give him the first new World Heavyweight Champion. I don't even know if it's the old one, just it looks different, or if it's a new one and it's going to have a whole new lineage to it. I don't know. But that's just kind of selfish motives. I love Sheamus. He's been one of my favorites ever since I started watching. He was my like first ever favorite. And, you know, I hope, you know, nothing but good things for him. But moving over to SmackDown, we have Edge. Now, he dropped a little tease. I don't know if it means anything, but people are speculating about it. And honestly, I would love it. He said he's got one more elite caliber year left in him. You know, people are like, oh, he's going to go to AEW. Oh my God, him and Christian right off to sunset and retire. I would love that. Since he's come back from retirement, 2020 Royal Rumble, amazing comeback. Long ass match with Randy Orton at WrestleMania, kind of a bummer. Greatest match of all time or whatever at Backlash. Not true, but it was a good match. He just hasn't done much. He started Judgment Day and got kicked out of it in like 4 months, okay? He just hasn't done much. So if Edge truly does leave WWE and goes to AEW, which would be crazy, I would love it, but I have my doubts. Just, I don't know, throw him on SmackDown and have him maybe challenge Roman one last time. Find a good way to end his career on a high note. That's really it. Over on Raw, we have another tag team. This time the women's tag team champions, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Women's tag titles, honestly, they should just scrap them. They switch off every now and then. New title holders really don't do anything special with them. Raquel Gonzalez could be a good, or Raquel Rodriguez, whatever the hell, could be a good challenger for Bianca over on Raw. Hell, even a good challenger for Rhea Ripley on SmackDown. I wouldn't be surprised if that's where she goes after she's done with Liv. And Liv Morgan had a small reign as SmackDown Women's Champion until Ronda Rousey, you know, won it back. But regardless, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, They're going to be on Monday Night Raw. That's my prediction. Now we have the LWO. Now I was surprised, even though Rey Mysterio is a part of the LWO, I thought he would be listed separately. But no, they're all lobbed into one group. The LWO, Rey Mysterio, Cruz del Toro, Joaquin Wilde, Zelina Vega, and Santos Escobar. I just, whenever I think of SmackDown, I just mainly think of the Fox execs and what they would want. Like, they want that star power. Like, if John Cena was a current roster member, they'd be like, put John Cena on SmackDown, damn it, we want that money. But Rey Mysterio, you know, sells merch. He's probably like their current biggest star overall. People will know Rey Mysterio over Roman Reigns and a Brock Lesnar and a Cody. So yeah, Rey Mysterio will probably go to SmackDown with the LWO. They'll do some fine stuff over there, I'm sure. Give Santos Escobar the United States title. Have him dethrone Theory. Boom, that's what I want. If Theory and Escobar land on the same roster, you have Santos beat him for the US title. Boom, there you go. And now we have our first NXT call-up going to Raw. I believe Roxanne Perez will be called up. It said certain NXT superstars will be eligible for the draft. The more I thought about it, I did have Braun Breaker on here, but he's just now getting back in the title picture. He beat Andre Chase, I believe, at Spring Break-In or whatever the hell. I don't watch NXT. I believe Braun is gonna probably lose to Carmelo Hayes. But he's, you know, as a heel, he's just spearing everybody out of the blue. I've seen clips on Twitter. Pretty interesting, I'm not going to lie. So I think he might swim around in NXT for a bit longer. Maybe after SummerSlam, Braun Breaker will show up. But Roxanne Perez had the little injury scare or whatever happened, dropped her women's championship in NXT, then fought for it like a month later in a ladder match, and I guess the injury wasn't that serious. I don't know what exactly all happened there. But I think her time in NXT is done. She's one of the best women's wrestlers in NXT. So yeah, Roxanne Perez, the Monday Night Raw. For SmackDown, I have Damage Control, which threw a wrench in my predictions. They're all listed together. It seems like they were on the verge of breaking up, but they're all listed together. So unless that's just to throw us off, they will be going to the same brand whenever they're picked. I don't want Damage Control to get too stale. I do like the faction. I do like the trio. If they stay together, great. If not, all three of them can do great things on their own. But I think Bayley, Io, and Dakota will be going to SmackDown, similar to Austin Theory, just so they can, like, you know, freshen up and maybe have some new stories and new matches. And now for Raw, we have the Street Profits. Raw is the land of tag teams, apparently, on my list. I just thought Street Profits are a good fit on Monday Night Raw. They haven't really done too much. They're always sure to put on good matches. They're reliable. They're a reliable tag team. They're still that, hey, let's push Montez forward. I feel like Montez versus Gunther, if they end up on Raw like my predictions here, that could be a good match. I would love to see Montez sell a chop from Gunther. Angelo Dawkins, if they were to split up the Street Profits, I'm sure Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford can do great things on their own, but I think the Street Profits are a good fit on Raw, and they can stay there. They can maybe challenge Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I don't know. Now we have Drew McIntyre. I believe he's going to stay on SmackDown. There are reports that he might not re-sign. He's not happy with the money and creative plans. And honestly, I feel bad for the guy. He had a great world title run, but it was during the pandemic era. No fans. But, you know, there's other people that are, like, on top, ready to challenge Roman or go for that new world title. I haven't been too high on Drew McIntyre the past couple of years. Like the Street Profits, he's reliable. He can put on decent matches whenever you need him to. But I believe maybe he can challenge Roman Reigns once again. If his contract does run out, maybe he can have another big match and then, you know, not resign and go to the independent circuit or wherever he would like to go. That's just if he doesn't resign. He seems like a WWE guy, but I thought that about Daniel Bryan, to be fair. We'll just see what happens to good old Drew McIntyre, you know? We're just gonna have to wait and see what happens with him. So for Raw, another women's division star, we have Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair, I believe she's taking some time off. I'm not entirely sure, but every time she comes back, she's right into a title feud. And who's the one person she hasn't had a title match with? We got Bianca Belair. Charlotte versus Bianca. I thought they were going to do that at Mania. Charlotte and Bianca would be a great match. Don't do it right away. I mean, Charlotte is a big threat because, you know, there's a good chance she'll win every time she goes in her title matches when she returns. I think they're saving that match. Honestly, I could see it happen at SummerSlam. So keep Bianca and Charlotte on the same brand, but don't hint at Charlotte going for the title yet unless there's a big stage to do it on. For SmackDown, we got Asuka. She lost at WrestleMania to Bianca Belair. As much as I like Bianca Belair, I feel like that was kind of the wrong decision. Asuka has 0 wins at Mania. That was her time. She's had so many other times she should have won at Mania, but it's whatever. Like Damage Control and Austin Theory, I believe a switch to SmackDown for Asuka could kind of get rid of that, hey, you lost at WrestleMania type, you know, smell in the air, and she could have some good matches over there, rebuild herself back up, and maybe be the one to take the title from Rhea down the line. Not just yet. Back on Raw, we got L.A. Knight. Yeah, you know, I wouldn't be disappointed if he was the first one to grab that new World Heavyweight Championship. He's a great talker. He's pretty good in the ring, you know. But really, his microphone skills are what's carrying him. He can cut a damn promo. He could probably be an MJF where he can wrestle once a month, but as long as he's just talking on that mic, you're like, okay, I vibe with it. LA Knight, all the way. Give him the title first. You know, you got Cody, Rollins, him, Sheamus. There's a few names that, honestly, nobody would really be upset with winning that title. Actually, no, Cody, don't give it to Cody. That feels like a huge consolation prize. I mean, it feels like a consolation prize for everybody because, like, no one could beat Roman. New title, hee hee. But Cody would be the biggest, like, hey, you're not that guy, but here's this new title for you. So maybe have Cody be the one to dethrone Reigns later on and just have him do cool stuff on Raw, you know. But LA Knight, good contender to be that first world champion. Now we have Bobby Lashley for SmackDown, the Almighty. I believe he's been on Raw for most of his career since returning. I think he's been a Raw guy for the majority of his comeback. I don't remember seeing him do anything notable on SmackDown since whenever he returned, like 2018. If he were to go on whatever brand Roman's not on, he could be the first world champion too. Wouldn't be mad with that. Had a good US title reign, had a good WWE title reign. Maybe give it to Lashley, but I have him on SmackDown because he has not fought Roman yet, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. They've probably had one or two altercations, but that would be a good match for Roman. Maybe at a Money in the Bank or a SummerSlam if Roman's not dropping it anytime soon. I think that's a big threat to Roman's title reign. And he's one of those guys that if you do it at a big enough show, people might, you know, have a certain like thought in their head like, oh wait, Bobby could do it here. So I think it's good to have Bobby and Roman on the same brand so Roman has another big threat and he doesn't get too stale. So after LA Knight, we have Pretty Deadly on Monday Night Raw. They got killed on NXT. NXT call-ups are tricky because you don't want to give them anything too crazy right away. You want the audience just to enjoy them and be like, okay, they're established now. Now whatever they do here on out, let's hope it's good. Pretty Deadly, I don't know too much about them. They seem entertaining enough. I think they can do just fine as long as they don't get lost in the shuffle. There's not too many standout tag teams, like off the top of my head. I can name like 5. So Pretty Deadly could be that big charisma, like fueled tag team. And just, you know, I'm sure they can have a great match with the Street Profits. The promos, the segments. Do that for the first pay-per-view match with Pretty Deadly. Pretty Deadly versus Street Profits. I'm sure they'll do that and it'll be funny and it'll be a good match too. And now we have The Miz on SmackDown. The Miz has been on Raw for a while. He doesn't get his flowers enough. The Miz is a talented guy. He's not super special in the ring like, oh my god, look at him do flips and look at him do crazy moves, but he does enough. His promos are great, but he, you know, he's just kind of there. He hosted WrestleMania and got beat up by celebrities. It is what it is. I think The Miz can do great stuff on SmackDown. I don't think he'll be winning any titles. I don't think he'll be turning face, so I don't see why he would challenge, you know, Austin Theory or Gunther or anything like that. So he's kind of just gonna be chilling. Maybe he could find a tag team partner that's hopefully not Ciampa, which by the way, Randy Orton, Ciampa not listed to be eligible for the draft. They are, I believe they're still injured. I think Ciampa's recovering. Randy was rumored to be close to returning, but then I think I saw something that said he's nowhere near close to returning, so I don't know. But yeah, Miz on SmackDown, nice little change of pace for him. So now after Pretty Deadly, we have, oh my god, there's so many tag teams on Raw. I should have planned this out. I did this all in like the span of 20 minutes until I saw the updated list and made some changes, but I'm just now reading it out loud and seeing how many tag teams are on Raw. But yeah, Ricochet and Strowman, I believe they're listed together. I actually did not double check that. I don't really care for them as a team. They do good as a team, you know, the big man and high flyer, cool. But Ricochet could be doing so much more. Strowman, if you build him up again, which honestly, I don't think he'll reach like the popularity he was at in 2017, 2018, around there. Everything Strowman has done since, I have not given a single damn about. But Ricochet, hey, I like Ricochet. Maybe he probably couldn't beat Gunther. Hell, honestly, give Ricochet the US title, have him have a great run. He won it in 2019 and then lost it to AJ Styles in like a month or two. Like what? Ricochet's one of your top dudes, honestly, in-ring wise. Give him some gold to run with, or give him a meaningful feud to run with. If him and Strowman split up, have him beat Strowman. You know, F it. Have Ricochet beat Strowman in a somewhat big pay-per-view match, and Strowman can just kind of try his damnedest to rebuild himself up. That's all the notes I have for that. And now we have a little special entry for pick number whatever the hell for SmackDown. We got Tyler Bate. Nah. Select NXT superstars are eligible for the draft, and Tyler Bate teamed with Chase U. Chase U had their whole little thing with Braun Breaker at Spring Breakin', I believe. Like I said, I don't really keep up with it too much. But Tyler Bate, you know, seems to just be hanging out in NXT. What a great, you know, return the form or just call-up, honestly. I feel like it's about time. Tyler Bate to the main roster, especially on SmackDown. Hell, him versus Roman at the London show, or have him be in Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank's going to be in the O2 Arena in London, I believe, unless I'm mixing up my London dates. I don't know. But Tyler Bate being called up before the London show, have him be in Money in the Bank, have him have a big match at the show. You know, I think it's time for Tyler Bate. He's great in ring. Trent Seven isn't there, so they can't do Mustache Mountain. They can have him on the same brand as the Brawling Brutes, have him have a little run-in with Pete Dunne, or Butch, whatever. That'd be nice. But yeah, Tyler Bate to SmackDown. I just feel like he fits. I feel like it's time. And now on Raw, we have Johnny Gargano. Wasn't doing too much. Been dealing with Dexter Lumis, kind of. They were sort of a tag team. I think they're still buddy-buddy. I'm not sure. Dexter Lumis is not the same as he was in NXT, or it just doesn't feel the same. Johnny Gargano had a great standout performance in the Elimination Chamber. Nearly died like twice, banging his head off the floor. But hell, Johnny Gargano just needs something. I would say he could be like everybody else I've said that needs a refresh and move him to SmackDown, but if he stays on Raw, honestly, the reason I have him on Raw is because if you have the big top stories on SmackDown with Roman Reigns, I mean, you could argue that Cody and Brock is like a big story right now, but wherever Roman Reigns is going to be considered the top story, I believe. If Roman's telling the big stories on SmackDown, have Gargano and Ciampa, when he returns from injury, be on Raw, and if you can capture that same fire they had in NXT, people will care about it. And sure, it still won't be as big as Roman, but it will get people talking, it'll get people remembering the glory days of NXT, and they can put on great matches. Hell, even as a tag team, they can challenge Kevin Owens and Sami, and now that I'm saying that out loud, oh my god, I want to see DIY versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. That would be great. And then when they're unsuccessful, or when they are successful, have Ciampa turn on Gargano, have a little, a little fight. Now on SmackDown, he just recently returned, Shinsuke Nakamura. He said he wanted a world title, whether that means the World Heavyweight Championship that just got, announced, or have him go for Roman Reigns. It looked like he was going to be the next contender for Roman Reigns until he got attacked by the Usos, and then that just didn't happen. But now that Shinsuke is back, he has a reason to go for Roman. He's like, hey, I wanted that match, never got it, got attacked by your cousins. Let's have Roman versus Shinsuke. Fine by me. For Raw, we have another NXT call-up. We have Zoe Stark. A lot of people are a fan of her, and some people aren't because of the whole not having too much of a personality, which, is somewhat true, but I'm a Zoe Stark fan. I love Zoe Stark. I hope she gets called up. Just another call-up that would be important for the women's division, because the women's division sometimes doesn't have too much going for it. It's like kind of stop-start. It's like you got good stories, you got good matches, but sometimes they just, I don't know, it's not hitting, is what I'm trying to say. Like, Bianca Belair's matches are always good, but then you have the thought of, oh, she's held it forever. When is she gonna lose it? Bayley lost her 3 times. That's a bummer. And then you have Charlotte, who's holding it. The whole Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey stuff. Oh, God. But now Rhea's won that title, so maybe she can do something with that. So I feel like women's division call-ups are more important than men's division call-ups at this point for WWE. Zoe Stark, add some fuel to the fire of the women's division on Raw. Maybe even challenge Bianca Belair. That should be a good match. But, Zoe Stark to Monday Night Raw. That's my prediction. Now we have Shotzi over on SmackDown. I had to replace and shuffle some names after I saw people were grouped together and not grouped together. So Shotzi wasn't originally on this list. I don't know where she'll end up. They really don't seem to ever have much for her to do except for take losses. I like Shotzi. She just has a different look from everybody else. She was amazing in NXT. I really wish she would have won the NXT title, but she won the NXT tag titles with Ember Moon. If you can remember that. I bet you don't, but they had a pretty fun reign and some fun matches. I guess she'll stay on SmackDown. She could have a great I feel like her and Rhea could tear the house down. Shotzi Blackheart and Rhea Ripley could tear the house down in like a Falls Count Anywhere match, I do believe. It would do a lot for Shotzi. I doubt they'll ever do something like that, but that's just like a little creative idea I had in my head just now, and now that's the agenda. Shotzi Blackheart versus Rhea Ripley, Falls Count Anywhere. Alright, we got Raw. We got Bronson Reed, another person who I didn't have on this list. But since I had to shuffle some people around, I'm like, hey, he's being built up as like a contender for the US title. And honestly, if Bronson won, I wouldn't be too disappointed. His promos and his matches haven't been anything special. I'm not gonna lie. I liked him in NXT, but I still believe there's time for Bronson Reed to be this big monster. He's having brawls with Lashley, and he could be in that new world title tournament, and good for him. I don't think he'll win it. I don't think he'll do anything of much for the next few months, but at a certain point later this year, I feel like he could be up there. He just needs to keep building and building. And now we have a name that I did not think would be on the list. We have Trish Stratus. I thought she was like, a legend just coming back, having a mini feud with like Becky and just like, dipping after that, but she's listed as someone eligible to be drafted. So Trish Stratus, she should stay wherever Becky is. I put Becky on SmackDown, so Trish Stratus going to SmackDown. I really have no other reasoning, just wherever Becky goes, Trish needs to be and cost her some matches. Because we know Trish isn't going to wrestle like every other week. She's just going to be there to keep the story going with Becky. And I'm fine with that. Just make sure they're on the same brand so you don't have any like cross-promotional whatever the heck. Now for Raw, we have Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville. They're low-key kind of a standout women's tag team. They seem like they were just thrown together, but I like their whole dynamic of, you know, let me talk to your manager. Like when Chelsea was doing it on her own, it's like, oh god, not a Karen gimmick, but they're making it work kind of. It's not super cringe or anything like that. Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville, I feel like they work well together. I would like to see them be the team that takes the titles off Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Other than that, have them on Raw for that reason. That's, I don't know, tag team women's division stuff, it's kind of tricky to sort out. And now we have Karrion Kross and Scarlett staying on SmackDown. If you build, this can go for a lot of people, if you build Karrion up, which he's been kind of just fumbling around in the mid-card scene, if you build Karrion Kross up, you can maybe have him challenge Roman. It looked like he was going to be a big title contender threat when he returned. He had that feud with Drew McIntyre, and what has he done since? I think he feuded with Rey Mysterio. Whatever happened to that, I think they had like one match, and I think Rey won, did he not? I don't even remember. He hasn't done anything important, and I kind of like Kross. I'm not too big a fan of him. Like, when he came to NXT, I thought he was all hype, and I wish he didn't win the title, you know, right away, whatever. But they got time to make Karrion Kross feel important. They need to do that, whether it's on Raw or SmackDown. I just have him on SmackDown because I feel like he could still be a big name if they just do right for him. Homo Sapiens rise up. We got Omos and MVP over on Raw. They're not a tag team, but MVP is like listed with him, so I just thought I'd, you know, shout out to MVP. He's cool. Omos is a big man who has, he's having a match with Rollins at Backlash. I just remembered. What the hell? What the hell is that? But whatever. I don't, that's more talk for a podcast if I ever go through with that, you know, where I could just talk crap to myself in the wind for like 30, 40 minutes. But Omos is, just keep him on Raw. I really don't know what you could do with Omos. Bronson Reed I have listed on Raw. Maybe Omos and Bronson. Big boy clash again. I feel like that's where the spectacle for Omos comes in, when you have a big boy versus another big boy. I don't know, just have a big boy match with Omos or make him feel important. He just feels like a bumbling big man that they're just like, hey, he's big, haha, and that's all his character is, but maybe they'll do something with him. I think Omos is a cool guy. He seems really nice. I hope nothing but the best for him. And now finally for SmackDown, we have Candice LeRae. Her and Johnny Gargano are on opposite brands because if Ciampa does come back and they do a feud, they can't have Candice getting involved and be like, oh no, Johnny, now I'm on opposite brands. Maybe add that as a story element, like, Candice can't help you, Johnny. I'm Tommaso Ciampa. Rah, I'm bad guy. I don't know. Just Candice LeRae, she's another person that comes to mind when I think who can have a good face versus monster heel match with Rhea Ripley. You know, you have Shotzi that I brought up earlier, but Candice is who I was really thinking about because she's, you know, tiny but mighty, you know, pint-sized Poison Pixie, I think, or Poison Pixie, I don't know. I forgot what her nickname was, but Candice LeRae, underdog story going up against Rhea Ripley, could be a very good match if they tell the story properly. Candice LeRae, one of the best women's wrestlers on that roster, hasn't really had the chance to show it. Now let's go to the last pick for Monday Night Raw. We have Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. I had them on different brands because Shayna Baszler is much more entertaining than Ronda Rousey in almost all aspects. I'm sorry, Ronda Rousey. You were great when you first came to WWE, because I think people were just impressed with how well you were doing right out the gate, and then that quickly faded away. Shayna Baszler, on the other hand, monster in NXT, monster when she first got called up to Raw, lost to Becky Lynch, all been downhill since, and I mean all downhill. Tag team titles with Nia Jax, helps nobody. Her being scared of Alexa Bliss and Lily, I do remember that pandemic era bullshit, helped nobody. So Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey honestly just need to be split. Ronda could be a special attraction, like she could be like Logan Paul, every now and then come back and be like, oh, Ronda's back, have a big match. But Shayna Baszler versus Bianca Belair is what I'm thinking about for Monday Night Raw. Ronda and Shayna, though, they're gonna stay a women's tag team. I guess they'll challenge Liv and Raquel. I don't know, man. I want them to be separated. I know they're friends, but damn, Shayna Baszler needs to be a SmackDown or Raw Women's Champion sooner rather than later. That's just my opinion, but maybe that's just my love for the black and gold days of NXT talking. But there you have it. There's all my predictions. I only did 20 picks per brand. I wanted to give my thoughts on everybody, you know, why I think they should go to that brand, whether it's just a simple reason or storyline purposes. But we'll see if I'm right, and we'll see if the picks are good, and we'll just see how it goes. That's really all you gotta do with WWE, just see how it goes. If you want to tell me who you hope switches brands or stays on their brands or becomes champion on their new brands or whatever, let me know in the comments. I want to hear all the feedback, all the opinions, all the fantasy booking. I love that kind of stuff, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye.